All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. I am Bill Corey. I am the Cubist, and I am joined by everybody.
Yay!
We have a ton of people on the show today. First off, we have who has become a regular second chair, Brandon Kempf from the What Did You Play This Week podcast thing. Hi, Brandon. How's it going?
Hello, Bill. How are you doing? How is everybody else?
Great.
Else is awesome. We also have Patrick Hillier, also from What Did You Play This Week.
Hello, all.
Lower third. Hello, Patrick. And then we have all sorts of other manner of people. We have Tiffany Caires. Hi, Tiff. How's it going?
Good. It's Tiffany Caires.
Caires. Oh, awesome. Go me. I don't believe I've ever said your married name out loud before just now.
No,
I've read
a lot
it
of people haven't. And it's actually, I actually am okay with people thinking that it's Caires because then it's kind of funny, but it's Caires.
Sure. Sorry about that. It appears to be my job to make an idiot out of myself with one guest every week. So it's your week. There you go. Speaking of making an idiot out of myself, Travis Hill from the Low Player Count podcast is here. Hi, Travis.
Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to your show.
Welcome to my show. Yay. And last but certainly not least, we have the other hoodie, Kimberly Bullock, our return guest from the first iteration of the Cubist. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi. Oh, yep. Word. Yeah.
We had to make her be quiet so we could get the show launched before, and that really stuck with her. So she's going to be. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I'm super glad to have everybody on here. This is probably going to be a lot more disorganized than episodes of the Cubist have been in the past, because normally we don't have this many people on here. Shush you. It's not going to be that bad. No, so I want this to be sort of awesome and freeform and just fun. So whatever floats your boat. But what we normally do is first part of the Cubist, we talk about games that we played recently that we think are worthy of talking about. Anybody have anything specific that they're really digging?
Wow, just silent.
Let's just toss it out for everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody's played games. Okay.
Yeah, nobody
played-
like, what are games?
Does anyone want to hear about terraforming Mars? They're tired of it.
Yes, please. Oh, I actually do. I'd like somebody to talk about it on here because it has been a big buzz thing on Twitter.
Yes.
But you have to remember that not everybody is Twitter.
Let's talk
What?
to it.
Everybody's
I
on
know.
Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
All right,
kids anyway,
Patrick.
right?
All right, Patrick. What about terraforming Mars? Talk to us. What's the sales pitch? Like if you were describing it in a minute.
In a minute, you are 4 corporations. Well, if you play with 4 people, you're multiple corporations terraforming Mars to bring it to Earth-like conditions through purchasing and playing cards and bringing it up in either oxygen, temperature, and adding water to Mars. And the corporation who does that the best wins the game.
Cool.
So
what are the sort of basic like mechanics of the game? Is it what kind of game is it? Because I legitimately know very little about it. I've been way off the radar on this.
I guess it's sort of Euro-ish. The basic mechanic is you get cards, right? Every round you have 4 cards that you can buy that allow you to modify Mars in some way. So you can either, go mining and that gets you some ore off of, or you can plant microbes, and then as the planet develops, you might increase your ability to do things as the temperature goes up. So it's sort of representation of the transformation process of Mars. So you can't do things at the beginning of the game that you can do later on in the game when the terraforming develops. So it's pretty straightforward.
It's a pretty...
You just play it.
Play.
Yeah, it's this card-driven engine building game.
Yeah, it's a card-driven engine building thing. Perfect. Because your engine will develop over time. Like for example, I was playing it solo this weekend, where I developed cards that got me some more energy, which is one of the resources, and then I could use those, convert that energy into different things through other cards that I got, like help me create oxygen in the atmosphere. So I developed this, powerful engine by, I got a lot of energy here, and I got these 2 cards that do this, and that gives me points over here, and that's the engine that you get going over time.
Super cool.
So it's a lot of fun. Missed you there. say how long it plays?
The game.
Yes.
It plays about, I'd say, 2 hours with, full boat of 4 people.
Okay.
2.5 maybe with learning game. It's a little slow at learning. There's a lot of words on text on cards. But there's a lot of great symbology in it. So once you've played it a couple times, you really kind of understand what's going on, and you can play it really fast. I can play a solo game in about an hour.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. All right. So on the Cubist scale, buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
Must buy.
Must buy.
15 games since Gen Con.
Wow. Ooh.
So
that's awesome.
On the must buy, if you are just buying it, does that mean that you're also you're not playing it? Or like I'm just buying it, it lives on a shelf now?
That's no, actually it's not that pretty. So you really just want to like playing it because there's some weird art and cheesy components and things like that.
It is not a pretty game?
It's a fun game. It's not ugly, but it's not gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So buy it. Very cool.
Yeah, it's just more interesting than, the science behind it is interesting. The mechanics behind it, not the mechanics. It's not mechanically that different than anything else. But the way the terraforming develops over time is interesting.
That's cool. So you think maybe there was some capitalization off of like The Martian here, as in science is sort of a hallmark of the game. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like that's maybe this or no?
Sure. It definitely feels like that.
Cool.
Eric,
well, that's exciting. Yes, I did. I saw Eric jumped in. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little late.
It's all right. It happens. It happens. Very cool. All right. So Terraforming Mars from Patrick Ebony. Or
Eric's
I'm
next.
sure Stephen won't mind at all that you said that. Eric is next. Now, Tiffany. We're not going to throw Eric under the bus. We'll let him get a grip around this is going. Tiffany, what have you played lately?
Well, I finally got Steve to play Agricola. It's taken 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And we actually have a timer for that because that's how long we've been dating. To get him to the level of gaming to play full-scale Agricola, which,
nice.
Yeah. So we played the 2016 edition, which I haven't played yet, and I really do like the updated edition, the tweaks in the rules. It's not really that different, but how they do the cards and some of the card powers are a little better balanced. So that's really cool. We also played I eased him into the concept of that by also playing the new Agricola Family Edition, which is a standalone game, which is really nice. It's they definitely did a good job targeting the mid-weight family on that version. But you have instead of having a big player board that is your farm where you put tiles on it and not big houses, whenever you build pastures or fields or anything like that, it's a separate tile that looks kind of like a Tetris piece that you just hook on any way you want to your board, and there's no real placement rules for that except for that it just has to all connect together somehow. So, yeah. You also don't have to, there's no vegetables in the family version. You still have to feed your family, and there's no cards in the family edition. So it does a really good job of getting great.
Gotcha. We talked about Agricola. I think it was it last week or week one, Brandon? Was it
last week?
I think it was last week. It was last week, yeah, because that was the game that you talked about. Yep. In the family version, is that because you only have the new main version, or because you said it's standalone, right, Tiffany?
Yeah, it's a separate game entirely.
Yep.
Yeah, so I actually don't own Agricola. I rented it from CloudCap Games because they have an awesome board game rental library. But we do own the family edition because it was easier to convince myself that I could purchase the family edition because it would get played more often when we have Converta.
Sure. And you know what? We're going to touch back on that later when we start talking about purchasing habits, because I think that that's a really key point, right? Like you want to make sure that you're actually going to play the stuff that you spend money on. So that's super cool. All right. So for the well, first off, we'll talk about the real version, because you finally got Steve to play it, right? After 3 years, and you played full blown Agricola. For people that have never owned Agricola before, like if this is this the version that you have them buy, or do you have them buy the family? I mean, obviously it's based on, you know, how hardcore of a gamer they are. But.
Yeah. If you've been waiting to buy Agricola, I would definitely get this version, because there are rule tweaks and how they do the cards and card powers are definitely better. And now you get wooden meeples right in the box, whereas later edition or earlier editions, that was like a standalone upgrade that you had to get. The price point is really pretty solid, considering if you look at the last edition, it was 10 or 20 bucks more, I believe. So the price point has been lowered a little bit, but that also, you're losing a little bit of the family game. But you can play it if you just do the old family rules. It's not that big of a deal. So if you've always wanted to try Agricola, or you've played it and you enjoyed it but not enough to buy it, maybe try the new edition.
Okay. So on the Cubist scale, for you, obviously you bought it, or no, you rented it.
I rented
is it a buy it for you? Okay, so is it a buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
It's a play it for us. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good, very good. Okay, awesome. Well, that's cool. I like that we've heard two different games Agricola in a long time. Caverna basically killed Agricola in my collection. Like I enjoyed the sort of everyone has access to everything nature of Caverna so much more that my copy of Agricola went away as soon as I got it. But I kind of now want it again. This is how I get into trouble, Travis. This is what happens is I talk to people about games that they like, and then I end up wanting to spend money. I'm sure you don't know anything about that.
No, not at all.
What have you played, sir?
Ironically, the last time I was on the Cubist, I waxed eloquently about Roads and Boats for about 45 minutes or so, and I actually played a 3-hour game of Roads and Boats last night. So I'm trying really hard not to talk about that one yet again.
You can talk about that again if you want. If that's your wheelhouse, go for it. It's been 2 years since that last episode. I feel like we're probably okay.
True, yeah. So Roads and Boats came out, is a Splotter title that came out in 1999. And I taught it to my buddy Richard from Tattered Board podcast. He came back into town, and I got with him, and he said, I want to play Roads and Boats. I had a really terrible experience with it the first time that I played it, and so I wanted to sit down and learn it again. And I found out that his experience was so bad because the person left in the middle of the game, and he had to jump in the middle of the game and take over that person's game, and that just totally blows my mind. I mean, he had never played the game before, and he had to show up and do that, and so that makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean,
especially not for a game like that. Holy cow.
That's what I'm saying, is that there's so many infinitesimally small logistical minutia that's going on. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so with all that being said, he came and it's like, teach me Roads and Boats. And so I taught him Roads and Boats. He absolutely loved it. And yeah, I mean, it's a logistics game. You know, you're doing this to go here, to do this, to produce this, to build this, to produce this, to build this, to produce this, to move this, to transport this. I mean, it's the whole game, you know, it's that on repeat for 3 hours. And I like it, but I'm that kind of a person, you know? And so Roads and Boats is, I would say buy it, but I think now I think it's like $175 used, and so yeah. I don't even know what to say at that point. So I would say try it if you're able to, because it's a very polarizing game. I mean, it could be as interactive or as friendly as you want it to be, but I don't know. So yeah, Roads and Boats, just buy the stupid game if you can.
Well,
it's worth it.
That's what I'll say. You taught me Roads and Boats at BGG last year. Or yeah, it was last year?
Yeah, it was last BGG Con.
That was last year. After having talked about it on the Cubist, and I was super intimidated. And I'm a heavy game guy. Like I pride myself on being big, epic, 3, 4, 5 hour crunchy. Fantastic job teaching it. I knew I was getting owned. Like there was no doubt in my mind that I was losing about 45 minutes, but I definitely understood it. So the good teacher, that game is super accessible, and the price point is the only thing that would really keep it out of most collections, I would think.
Oh yeah.
Like if it wasn't $175.
Yeah.
We ranted a little bit about Splatter on a previous episode when I talked about and how we wish that the games weren't always crazy expensive and had slightly dubious components.
Yeah. Oh well, that happens.
It does. It happens to some games more often than others. Who knew?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Brandon. I know you've got a thing to talk about, don't you? You've got a thing to talk about.
Not really. I talk about it on my podcast. Let's see. What did we play yesterday? We played 3 games of Indigo. There you go. Just a nice little Reiner Knizia family-friendly route building game. And it looks pretty when you're done. We enjoy that one a little too much.
There's no such thing as too much. It's a solid game.
It is.
I picked in a charity auction, I think, for like $8 a few years ago. It's a great game.
Yep. It's a nice little title from, I guess, Ravensburgers, who put it out. It's one of Gabby's favorites to bring out and play when we have company over who, like kids her age, who don't play games. It's something we can get out, and then everybody likes the way it looks and the tactile nature of placing the tiles and building your route and making the noise whenever you move a little glass cube. It's just a lot. It's perfect.
That's awesome. All right. Buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it.
If you got a family that likes lighter games and you like tile placement games, it's a buy. You can get it for dirt cheap. So,
right. See, and to me, that seems like even if you don't have a family, so to speak, you know what I mean? It's good to have a couple of those lighter games in there for when you got minutes and you just want to knock something out.
Yeah.
So I agree. Very cool.
We've done this 3 weeks now, 4 weeks. Have I given one that wasn't a buy yet?
No, you haven't. And we're hinting. We will address that particular character flaw of yours.
That's what I was getting at.
Brandon buys all the games.
He does.
Not all of them. Some of them.
If there's such thing as
I am the austerity by all the games 2016 guy.
It's Brandon.
Yep.
There you go.
So Brandon, do you have roads and boats?
I do not have roads and boats. I don't have any splatter games. We talked about this, one of the earlier ones, where I wanted to
play
get
lately.
Greed is what I want to get. So,
Mm-mm.
No.
Stop buying games.
Of all of them, that's the theme that I liked the best. I sat there and I read through all of them, and that's the one that hit me. So,
no way. All right, am I back?
You're
I
back.
think I froze there. There I go. All right, very good.
Second.
Kimberly, what have you played?
The game. So much of the game lately. I just learned the solo version, so I played a lot of that this last week. Travis should be proud. I played a solo thing.
Who plays solo games? Gosh, losers.
I know, but I have the
Are
pretty.
you holding up?
Best.
That you have the Beth Sobel.
Cool. Yeah, I was literally playing it when we were first dialing it in. I was finishing it on the table next to me.
See, now that is gaming commitment. All right, so give like an elevator pitch for the game.
Oh my goodness.
I've heard of it.
Terrible elevator pitches, Bill. So it's a little card game. Yep, you play cards. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
You have to play them down in as close to sequential order as you can. It's pretty hidden information. You can only see what's in your hand. a little bit of that Hanabi beyond Baker Street. You're not supposed to communicate with the other players much about what you may or may not have, and you play them hopefully as close to sequentially as possible. It's a little brain burnery for what it is, and plays out relatively quick at all player counts, which I like when I'm looking for just a quick little puzzly thing. I have yet to get it down to 0 cards solo, so. Yeah, unless you're playing it solo.
That's the ultimate
Trying
point.
to run as many cards as you can get through.
It's all you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Have you not played it, Bill?
I have not.
Oh.
When it first came out, I was really annoyed by the name, and B,
Terrible.
hated the graphic design.
Also terrible. Yeah.
And I just sort of said, yeah, I don't care enough. I don't want to. This is awful, but in the back of my head, I was like, I don't want to reward that sort of behavior. Like, I don't feel like you should name something the game. That seems pretentious and awful, and it just bugged the hell out of me, so I didn't buy it.
I don't think anybody liked the name, Bill. So you're good.
Doesn't it have a really fantastic German name though? Like really nice, big, and epic.
Yeah,
I
you can try that.
German.
If I spoke German fluently, that would help.
Language dependent, so
Yeah.
you could get the German.
You could get that beautiful German version.
Played it. I'm
But the
much
numbers
more.
are being German.
Shut up. All right, hang on.
Patrick.
Yeah, buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it.
Oh, I would say it's probably a buy it since it's such a low price point, but definitely look for Beth Sobel's version.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Patrick is the one who taught me how to play.
Wow, and you still like it? That's exciting.
Miracles do happen
awesome.
occasionally.
No. Very cool. Eric, you've been so quiet over there in the corner because you were late.
Yeah, I
Can jump
snuck
in
in
real
late,
quick before we
so-
leave the game.
Oh, yep.
I just wanted to mention that there's an app that just came out for it. That's not too bad.
Oh, I didn't know there was an app.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is the game in German. Das Spiel is German. The game. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. But if you don't speak German, you wouldn't know that.
Nice.
But I thought it had like. Oh, never mind. Go on.
No,
Hey,
That
we're on,
skill
Eric.
is definitely big and epic.
we still love you. It's okay.
There you go. Eric, is the app on iOS or Android
It's
or
on
both?
Android and iOS.
Universal on iOS? Is it iPad and iPhone or?
That I can't talk about. You'd have to talk to Miss Sheldon about that.
Suzanne will weigh in the chat room. I think she said she was going to watch. So, all right, very cool. Eric, do you have a game that you have played that you want to talk about?
Yeah. Getting back to worker placement and entry level stuff. My dad was up visiting, and so he and my uncle were over, and I'm like, well, let's get something on the table that I think I could teach them pretty easily. So I busted out Lords of Waterdeep, and I got hustled. I came in last place. I've played this game, a dozen times. I was teaching them as we went, and they hustled me. So that's I mean, these are two guys I still can't beat at chess, so I shouldn't be too surprised by their strategic acumen. But I thought I had a little advantage being the only one that knew the rules to the game. No, I was hustled.
You taught it too well, Eric.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
There you go. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a pajama party, or I would have totally came dressed different. But
It is not. Do not let Kimberly fool you.
This was Bill's guarantee that I would wear pants.
Yes, this is basically how I ensured that nobody would end up naked on the show. So,
Wearing pants?
I feel like we're winning.
I
I
mean,
know.
It's a onesie.
it's a onesie.
Okay.
It's a whole furry thing, Brandon.
Well, we won't talk. Anyway.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Off the rails.
And here we go. Predicted that this was going to end up being a huge mess, and I said no. This is going to be great.
No.
Under control.
We lasted like what, 20 minutes? That's pretty.
That
We're
was
still doing good.
I know. I'm teasing. All right. So Waterdeep. I play it, forget it, or burn it.
well, I mean, definitely play it. If you haven't played it at this point, and you haven't found worker placement you love more, I don't mind owning it. I'm not going to tell everyone to go out and buy it because it's such a a gateway thing into the hobby. Anyone listening to this podcast is probably a bit beyond Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a classic. Like I said, I'm glad I own it.
Do you have Scoundrels?
All right.
I don't.
Get it.
Yeah. If you have Scoundrels and Scope.
Yeah, if you like Lords of Waterdeep and you're still playing it at this point, get Scoundrels.
Yeah, it makes
That's the thing. If I wanted to, if I was playing with other gamers, I probably would have brought out like Raiders of the North Sea or Champions of Midgard, something. So this was only because it kind of fit into that. I wouldn't have played with new people with the expansion. So
That's true.
Sure. Gotcha. I played only the base game. I've never played it. And that's mostly because no one in my group owns it and spend money on it. Like I'm sort of the buyer for my tiny little group, and I didn't love the base game enough to warrant me spending the money on it. I would have happily played somebody else's. Skullport had come out when I originally played it. I probably would have had a better opinion of it, and it might have ended up in my collection. But at first, I was kind of just really meh on for the 2 or 3 times that I played the base game. So I definitely see where you're going with that. Yeah, it's a solid play it sounds like, is how you're describing it. So that's awesome. Speaking of buying games, okay, so normally I try to come up with some sort of really clever intro on how we get from that to this, but we've already kind of hinted at it like 3 times. So I think it's so, all right, how many of us that are in this chat are the primary buyers for your game group? Like how many of you feel like you're the ones that spend most of the money? Because
Guilty.
I definitely am. Yeah. Okay. So Patrick, not so much.
Probably.
You?
Yeah.
Patrick's got a
Here
pretty
is
good
kind of-
group. I think,
I have
if I
a
remember right,
pretty
pretty
good
deep
group,
group. Pretty deep group.
My group, I have.
Oh, he froze again.
Keep breathing.
So I pick up the pieces.
I can jump in like, like I don't own one 18XX, but Jimmy's got every one of them down the street, right? So
Yeah.
it's the kind of game.
You've got a very well-rounded group. That's what I should have
Right.
said. Yeah.
I have all the co-ops.
I have one other buddy in my group that buys a lot of games, and his tastes rarely overlap with mine, so it works out really well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm buying bigger box stuff, and he's picking up Flag Dash.
Nice.
My old group in California, I was the primary buyer, and that was fine because I was the one also going to like Gen Con and all the conventions. But out here in Portland, I'm really lucky in that we've found or been absorbed into a game group that has a lot of people where we actually have overlap in what we're buying. So I don't have to buy as many big $60, $70 titles anymore. Which is nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
I assume that I froze there for a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I live, as you may or may not be able to guess based on my awesome internet connection, I live in a tiny little town.
It's a tiny little shoe he lives in.
he lives in the toe of it. You could hear it when he said, I live in a tiny little toe.
Bill.
Oh,
So-
poor Bill.
So
We love you, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
let's help Bill out. So we talked a little bit about the game buyer primary. So let's talk about basically what everybody uses for maybe a strategy when it comes to buying games. So there's a lot of different strategies I feel that people have, but any one thing that is the main driving force for you either getting a game or not getting a game? Maybe.
Am I going to get it played?
Yeah.
It's valid.
That's a big one.
And it's boiled down to 2 things more recently. One, I've been leaning towards games that have a 1-player option, so that I can play by myself. And yes, truth, Tavis. And 2, who's my game group becomes. So I bought Captain Sonar today, and I'm not really sure I'm going to get played.
Yeah.
Because
So you
I don't
just said
have
that was your criteria. And
I know that.
you just broke it today.
Oh yeah, I know that, but I was also thinking I've got cons coming up, right? So I'm going to a con this weekend or next weekend. I could bring that to BGG and get it played. So I was just thinking this is a con game. So this isn't a game usual group, but I could get it played at cons. So
I'll play
it'll
it
be
with
fun
you
there.
at BGG.
Cool.
I definitely want to play that at BDG. That's one that came very close to breaking my austerity resolution. Very close. I want that game so bad. And I never have 8 people in my game group, so I don't know why the hell I want it, because it's never going to hit the table here.
You can play with 2 players. Steve and I are actually going to play Captain Sonar tonight after I get off of this.
Is that what the kids are calling it?
Yeah.
And you could
Sorry.
Patrick.
What's
it's
the min-
Patrick?
I'm not keen on it 2-player, but 4-player works perfectly fine with it.
Gosh.
I would.
I bought it just so I could do a bunch of bad jokes during my review.
Apparently.
Sounds accurate.
That's really the only reason I buy games anymore.
Where are the dirty puns?
That sounds about right.
That does seem fitting. Yep.
I'm actually surprised to hear that it's playable 2 players. I would.
It just goes turn-based.
That game would.
Oh, you do the turn-based? Oh, that makes sense.
Well, because if you play with 2 players or 3 players, it's turn-based. If you go 4 and up, it's real-time. You can play real-time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And it works really well at 4. I think we haven't tried it at 3 or 2 yet. I'm sure we will with Gabby and Corinza, and we'll see if we can cause people to pull their hair out. But Captain Sonar, that's one you got to buy anyway, just for the sake that you could play it. And that's my motto, is would I want to play it?
Essentially.
That's what I look at.
So what you're saying is that you have no real criteria on how you make purchasing decisions. You just say, that looks shiny, I want it.
No. I say
That's how I got my husband.
Jordan is still in the chat.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. But yeah, no, I have criteria and I look at things. I don't buy everything. I would like to be able to, but pocketbook be damned. It doesn't happen that way.
Sure.
So there are a lot of games that I buy that get played once and never get touched again. I'll be the first to admit it. And there are a lot of games that are sitting on my shelf for 2 years that just haven't got touched, but they could. And I would like to.
One of my favorite earlier Brandon is we were talking on Twitter at some point, and he made some statement about how he had this old copy War that he just picked up because he wanted to pick it up, and he got Washington's War, and he said, I haven't even played it whatsoever, and he said, I will send it your way if you will learn it and play it. I was like, sure, right? And so I did it, and I learned it, and I played it a time or 2, and everything was it's like, okay, I feel weird holding on to your game, so I'm going to send it back. And but it's just, and I'm sure, Brandon, it's still sitting there.
No, I actually got one guy to play it with me.
Oh,
and then I just recently sold it. So
yes, you did. I imagine you would have.
So,
I
like being the library.
like that too, though.
I like being the library. I have friends who will ask, "Hey, do you have this? Do you have this?" I had a friend who came by yesterday and who's having friends over, and he was looking for games to play with like 8 to 10-year-olds, and he's like, "Can I just see what you got?" And I gave him like 6 games to play. I like that. That's so
sure.
I like that too.
I see, and I'm sort of that guy, but I don't buy nearly as much as it sounds like other people do. Like I just recently cataloged my right hovering around games, and I don't know, like in me or in my situation, it doesn't seem like something where, because of the austerity thing, that I've adopted for 2016. I don't know if that's really what's causing it, or if it's just that I've kind of had a lot of other things going on that have been absorbing my. I haven't felt like I haven't felt like I needed to purchase everything. Yeah, go ahead.
can we talk about the austerity thing? Because you brought it up twice now. And not to judge you, could we have somebody that has more solid internet explain it?
Yes, go for it.
That would probably be me because it's all my fault, anyways. So I was tired of getting inundated with games. Which is weird, right? I was tired of having this moment of getting stuff and not playing it, and because akin to everybody else, you kind of buy based on your game group and you buy based on things that you enjoy playing. And so since I like heavy economic games and heavy Euros and war games, a lot of times all that stuff can't get played based on people who I play with and friends, or there's not a solo mode, right? And so because of that, I was getting worn out of purchasing these games and then just selling them 3 or 4 months later or trading for something else. And so I decided to do austerity, which for 2016, I opted... for 2016, I opted to actually spend to only purchase 6 games, and I had laid out the 6 games that I was going to purchase. That didn't mean that I wasn't going to obtain games in other ways, either through review or work that I did for publishers or stuff like that, but just actually physically money leaving my pocketbook, my bank account to go in. These are my 6 games, and I laid it out, and I was stupid, and I made it public, and I made a geek list for it, and I made and then other people hopped on board, and I made a geek list about their geek lists and all that other. It was ridiculous. And we placed bets. Yeah. One of the other guys on low player count, Donnie, he placed a bet on when I was going to purchase my 7th game. So all that stuff happened, right? And I made it until the very end of June, which was almost 6 entire months. So I felt pretty good. I felt pretty good about it. And really, it was less about buying only 6 games and more about limiting chaff that I was purchasing, so that I didn't have stuff that I was just going to get rid of and sell. Now, the problem for me is that whenever I kind of cross that boundary and purchase that 7th game, I mean, it was all over. It was just like, well, cool, I hit that limit. And then it was like, well, I'm going to buy this, and then Kickstarters. And then I got into win some train games like an idiot. And now I'm buying all those stupid things. And so it spirals and spirals. And so the problem is I still like the idea of not spending all of that time and all that money researching all these games to get it, play it once or twice, and then pass it on. Like, that's what I don't want to do, because I don't want that flux and that churn of cash flow and game flow to happen. I actually want to get games that are going to last for a long time. And yeah, so that's it. That was the progeny of austerity and the reason and the rationale behind it. And then apparently Bill has been doing great with it. He's the only one that's still kind of sticking on. I think everybody else has kind of gone off the wayside, I was the one who also had really strict guidelines of I'm only going to buy these 6 games and that's it. And a lot of other people were like, I'm not going to buy just 6 games, but I'm going to limit it to I spend $100 a month on games, stuff like that. So, yeah. So, Bill, good job for you. I'm way off the bandwagon, though. I mean, there's nothing for it.
Just for the record, I don't anticipate sticking with it through BGG-Con. I assume that I will fall off the wagon, because I know that there's some stuff coming out that I'm definitely going to want there. But for right now, I'm still on track and going into with having only purchased. I actually think I've only purchased 4 at the moment.
Wow.
Open slots. So yeah, it's a little awkward, but I've also traded for a few games and like 504 as an example. 504 was one of the 4 games that I purchased already, and that there's a lot to explore in there. So I feel like I'm getting my mileage out of stuff, which is nice. And plus I won a couple games in raffles and got a couple gifts. So there's been enough inflow that I haven't felt cheated, and a bunch of Kickstarters have fulfilled.
That's nice.
And I had paid for those last year, so that was more stuff coming in that I didn't spend money for. So
Free games.
That was my rules, right? Is like it's when the money leaves my account. So if I backed it this year, it counted. Here it didn't. So I so far so good. But like I said, BGG will be the end of it. Yeah. I won't make it through there. I guarantee that it will not happen.
There are
for no other reason.
Oh, I was just saying there are two Rosenberg games coming out of Essen. I mean, I'm screwed immediately.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, between Captain Sonar, which I suspect the moment I play it, I'm probably going to run and buy it from somewhere, and the Rosenbergs that'll be out, and Mars, which I still haven't bought, but I'm sure I'll end up playing that, and then I'll probably fall head over heels in love with it, and so on and so forth. It's going to be bad. Yeah. 7? Hang on. I'm sorry. He mentioned this in the private chat. We probably weren't supposed to out him, but 47?
In April. That was April.
Oh, that was just through April. And it slowed down through the summer when I realized I was going to Gen Con. And then that ballooned up again, and I just quit keeping track.
I'm going to say, we shared rooms at Gen Con. It was 47 at Gen Con.
Yeah, we had 47 in that room, didn't we? It was... But, I don't know. I have a problem. My name's Brandon.
No,
it's fun, and I got the money to do it, and my kids aren't starving. As a matter of fact, I need to make them quit eating so much chips. But
I think you just called your daughter fat. I'm just throwing that.
No, I did not.
So
she ate all my chips. I'm the big one in the family. So
no, I know.
Yeah, so I have a similar I wouldn't call it austerity strategy, but I have a similar strategy. It's not with a time period or a money limitation, but it's if I have a bunch of games I haven't played, then I just won't buy new games. And they, because of Kickstarter and some of the things, I just had this like ever lengthening pile of games, and it got to like, it was giving me anxiety. Like, how people have like that Netflix anxiety from having their watch list be too long or the DVR or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so I was just like,
that's
all right.
me with podcasts. Yeah, like, I'm serious. Like, I'm subscribed to so keep up, and then somebody passive aggressively says something like, I talked about this on my podcast, so I don't, and I'm sorry, I can't listen to them all. I try. Yeah, and it's I feel you on that. And maybe Eric, maybe you can speak to this, because that I've embraced austerity as much as I have isn't as much about making the sticking to the resolution as much as it is I enjoy process now. Like I find myself critically thinking more before I spend money on a game. Like I find myself just sitting thinking, well, because of this austerity thing, now I need to really make sure that this is something that I want to have spent money on, or am I going to be angry with myself in 2 months because it's still sitting there and nobody wants to play it? So it's really that thought process, I think, that is what has made this an enjoyable experience for me, as opposed to being something where it just feels like I'm punishing myself for being, a ridiculous consumer. I don't know.
Well, for half of that, I can definitely say I've had to get better, and I think Patrick mentioned this earlier, about knowing what people in my play group will play, because sometimes I'll see something and be like, that looks like the coolest thing ever, and I'll spend $50 or whatever on it, and then everyone will look at me like, no. And it's like, well then. But on the other hand, speaking of the other thing, I've always done an absurd amount of research, because I sit at a computer desk for 8 hours a day, and I'm like living in the movie The Office. I do about 25 minutes of work a day. So I have plenty of time to research the games. It's just trying to figure out what people will play.
Gotcha. So, Kimberly, you had said something about being sort of a primary buyer in your group. Where do you fall in this spectrum?
Oh, I think that when we first started buying games, it was like one a month. When we very first came into the hobby, we kind of set a loose one thing a month, not a big deal. And then that kind of broke anytime there was a big sale. It piqued our interest. It would be like one a month plus a cool stuff order or tabletop day sale or anything like that. And we used to buy pretty frequently, but now we buy less frequently just because I'm pickier and I know more what will actually get played. So we don't buy too often lately. I think we left Origins with 3 games, so.
Well, that's not bad.
Which is, I know, right? I don't go to conventions to buy games. That's like the dealer hall stresses me out in the first place. We like to keep it at about 10% unplayed. Brandon. We love you, Brandon. We like to keep it roughly 10%. I don't like it to ever really go above that. So,
Kimberly?
Yeah.
The Mayan calendar.
I know.
You
I
don't
love
get to give him any garbage. You've been 9 months. 9 months.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Bill purchased Zulkin for me as a surprise gift for Christmas last year.
Yes.
And Paul even specifically made you a video to learn how to play it.
Early and everything. Paul is lovely, yeah.
Yes. Paul Grogan. Yes.
The top shelf of our to be played, though, Bill. I can see it from here. It's Zulkin, Knights and Mystics, Fury of Dracula, and Tashkalar. Those are our primary let's get those played soon games. But soon.
Well, that's handy. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to see that soon is at least 9 months. Got it.
Well, hey, I've had Tricarian sitting staring at me from the shelf.
Oh, it's such a good game.
It is.
Such a good game.
Oh, look, I made a date next month to get it played. We're having a game night just to do that. So I have to get the big table ready.
Good. It's worth it.
If I haven't, I also haven't played that one. If that is still a thing in November, someone save me from myself at BGG. Would you please? I know.
If I was going, I would play with you.
Someone has. 100%. You're not going this year?
No, I'm not going.
You're not going.
Sorry.
Kimberly will play with you.
Right. I will play it with you.
Right.
And Steve was my feedback buddy last BGG, so that makes me sad. Snack sharing. I will play it with you, Bill.
Right after we played Zulkin. Got it.
Played Zulkin.
All right.
I will learn Zulkin before BGG. That was our promise, right? You get to actually hit me in person otherwise.
There is that.
We should,
right.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, Tiffany, about your purchasing habits because I think we haven't really talked to you yet about how that works out in your world.
Yeah. Well, I want to really quickly though, Kim. Steve and I will play with Jordan and you remotely to Zulkin because that's how I taught Rodney how to play. So it totally works.
Let's do that. Or we could do it on BGA or it's on one of them.
It's on BGA.
It was Tashkalar.
Yes.
But I have somewhat of a maybe similar, I don't know, thing to Kempf. So when I first started getting in the hobby, I kind of went crazy. Like I would buy games frequently if I thought that they were any kind of good, and then if they were on sale or anything else, like it just went my collection. I don't really want to know what the number was at one point, but and then when Steve and I moved in together, luckily we didn't have a lot of overlap. We did have a few titles overlap, but the collection got big from that. And so we started paring down really sharply because I also go to a lot of conventions, and it's in the interest of my brand and channel to purchase the new hotness when it comes out. So I try really hard not to buy games at conventions that aren't brand new releases, unless it's like a really amazing deal, which very rarely happens for me. So at conventions, I go in with a specific list that I have researched and either read the rules or just already looked at previews and stuff. So I have a very specific list of convention games that I'm going to get, and they're all brand new releases or pre-releases. Or in the case of Essen, where I'm going this year, some of the titles you just can't get in the US, so I'll be picking up a few of those, even though they've been here for a while. As far as purchasing games in general, like I really want to buy Trickeron, like so bad. But one of our really good friends who lives 10 blocks from us owns it, and he is totally down to play it. So we have started being more realistic about if it's going to get played, if it's good with 2 players or even has a 2-player option. If it doesn't, we won't get it. Otherwise, if it's a game that somebody we know already has, we won't get it. Or if we can rent it from CloudCap, we won't get it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I actually feel sort of similarly. Oh, that's the game rental service that she has near her, right?
Yeah.
Is that
the CloudCap in Sellwood in South Portland? Essentially, they have it's basically almost the private collection of the owner, and then he just made it public. And so they do 3 nights for $5, or you can get a week for $10. And then if you end up purchasing the game, you get the rental cost off of the purchase. So if you end up renting it a whole bunch, you can just buy it from them for cheaper. So
like a rent to own process.
Sort of.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Collection too. We saw it.
It's really big. Like there's the main rentals, and then there's like the back room, which is just everything that's been phased out of the rental shelf, but you can still rent it, and it's just massive. And there's some really awesome titles in there. So
maybe that's another thing for me too. I don't have a game store local.
Right.
Yeah.
So I bring everything to me instead of being able to go to the store and try things. I wish I had it.
I'm in the same boat as you, Brandon. There is a game store sort of near me, but it's terrible. And I've had so many bad experiences there that I sort of refuse to give them money at this point. So I'm sort of in your boat, right? Like I've just decided, screw it. I'm just going to own the stuff that I want to play. And I actually gift games quite a bit. Like I tend to give games away. I don't usually bother with trying to sell or trade because it's such a pain in the butt. But if there's somebody that I know that really wants something, like I traded games with Tiffany last year at PGG, and that was fine because that was easy, right? Like that was throw it in your bag. And
that worked out so perfect. We still talk about that all the time.
Oh yeah, good. I'm glad you guys really like it. My group hated it. I traded away Loot Bank and I got Floating Market. My group hated that game with a fiery passion.
And we did not like Floating Market at all.
And see, in Floating Market, it became one of those like nice little light, I can teach anybody in 5 minutes kind of games, which was a gap that I sort of have in my collection. I don't have a ton of those, so it was actually it worked out perfectly. It was a perfect trade. But yeah, I give away games fairly often. As a matter of fact, there's a big box of games up there that's going to be going away. I just realized I pointed when I have my camera off.
Yeah,
good job, me.
Camera off, guys.
Way to go. Yeah, I turned off my camera, by the way, viewers, because my bandwidth is so bad tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on, but my internet connection. Maybe I didn't feed the hamsters that run the modems over here.
The hamsters, Bill.
I thought you just transformed into Cubist art.
Yeah.
No, there is also that. Okay, so let's talk about what limitations storing these games have on your buy. Like, does that factor into when you buy things? Because it definitely does for me. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I have the shelves. I'll turn my camera on for a second here. I've got the shelving unit behind me, and then I've got a small. This is a 5x5 Kallax, and then I've got a 4x4 on the other side that y'all can't see, and that is the entirety of my storage. Like, if it doesn't fit on there, it's not a thing. And then I have it indexed because I made that public, and my shame was public for all to see. But yeah, that's basically the space that I have in my life. Does that factor in for you guys?
Well,
now I can turn my camera.
Can see behind me, I have the Harry Potter Under the Stairs cupboard collection. And it's full. And in the next room, I'm in my basement. I have a little like workbench to do like woodworking and stuff like that, and that's I can't actually do that because it's covered in games. So yeah, I would say space is a huge limitation, and I'm also always trying to give away games, especially ones I don't like, but the problem is usually no one else wants them either.
Sure, yeah, there's only so many destinations for the Garfield Monopoly game. There's really only so many people that are going to want. kidding. That's in that box that I was talking about. Sometimes my family doesn't understand what being a board game enthusiast is actually about. We talked about that last week too, where I ended up with Rock'em Sock'em Robots because they said that, and somebody gave me a copy of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which I'm like,
I would play that. Come on,
I
have
that was
played
awesome.
I've been getting my kids
play
into
that?
gaming, and my parents are like, "Oh, you're getting them to gaming? Here's Crazy Eights and Go Fish and all these other horrible games. I don't want to play with them at all."
That's when you'd learn that the art of card throwing. Practiced it like in the movie Groundhog Day. See, there you go. All right. How about the rest of you, though? Kimberly, what is your storage system like? We can see Brandon's and we can see Patrick's.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in my living room instead of in my game room. There's too much light in the game room.
Because heavens forbid you'd be well lit for a video podcast.
It's basically a vampire, unless it's unnecessary to be. We have a game room. We built a gaming table and stuff, and that's where my computer and everything is for any podcasty stuff I go on. But we've got room for like 275 or so games, I think, on all of our shelves. We have like tall, skinny calyxes, and then one turned sideways. And then upstairs we have an entire walk-in closet of games, but that's because I am one of the founders of Granite Game Summit, and I store half of the library. So
Sure.
we have a big walk-in closet in the bathroom upstairs that is full with other people's board games, or not board games we don't actively play. We have about 250 in our own collection, I think.
Okay, so your collection's about the same size as mine.
We keep it relatively that same size, and then I sell them. We auction them off at the Granite Game Summit. It's the only time I've done that, or I give them away. Donate them to my daughter's school. She has a school that likes a lot of board gaming stuff, so.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good way to cull.
How about, like, I made the joke that we can see your collection, but I know that that's not all of it, not by half.
Who's that?
I said Patrick, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Stupid internet. I hate the internet today.
Yeah,
I thought you meant Brandon.
I've got I'm reaching critical mass in the 500 plus range because I've got too many. I've got them.
You don't have an earthquake, Patrick.
I've got. I don't know if you can see them. Let's see. I got a table with a pile of them over there because I don't have any shelves anymore.
Ooh, hamster roll.
Yes, and crate boxes on the floor over here because I ran out of shelving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not good.
Does Cindy
Man, you guys are making me feel good about my 200 game collection.
This is my this is my man cave.
I don't have a problem at all.
This is your man cave. Cindy doesn't come in. She has no idea.
No.
We got to see Joshua Bergel's collection when we were in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh.
I
So
gotta get out there just for that.
He owns every game. Yeah.
I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the show that I have a friend who lives in the Pacific Northwest who buys 2 copies of every game, one copy to leave in the shrink and one copy to play.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I sort of agree. What? I know. Yeah, I know, right? Can you believe that? And he also, the other half of his mission statement is that he wants to own every game in the BGG top 500, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
No.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know if he's there yet, or if it's, or maybe I'm getting some details that wrong. I haven't seen the guy in a while,
He wants
but
to own
yeah,
2 copies of every game in the top 500.
yes, one to own, one in shrink, and one play copy of everything.
No.
Now, I think, you know what? If I had unlimited space and unlimited money, I guess I could kind of see where he was coming from. Some of these games could theoretically be worth some money later on down the road. And sometimes, you could look at it as an investment or whatever. But yeesh, I can't even imagine just spending that much money on games. Like, that's good for you being a booster for the industry, but holy cow.
I actually have a friend who's a doctor, and he's a huge house with a giant basement, and it's literally like a library down there. He has, maybe 12 shelves of games, and they're kind of like that. There are games that are multiple copies, like usually they're multiple languages. It's not multiples of the same thing, but he'll have the German and the English version of the same game. And when we go to his game days, and Bruce, this game's still in shrink. Go open it up and play it.
Crack
You want
it.
to play it? He doesn't mind us cracking it open. It's never been played, but
see, now that's my kind of friend.
Yeah.
Now this is what I'm talking about. I would live down in that dude's basement. I love cracking games and punching them out and organizing them. That's half the fun of the hobby to me.
Mm-hmm.
His Huckleberry all day long. That'd be great. That would be awesome.
coming up in November.
It come in November? What?
Yeah. His birthday's coming up in November. He has his annual birthday party.
Is he going to invite me to his birthday party? Is that where we're going?
I told him in my RSVP I may have guests.
Will be your date, Patrick. I'm all right with that. I'm fine. I will wear my prettiest high heels. I'm ready. I'm not scared.
Cool.
All right. So we've heard from Critical Mass over there. Tiffany, how big is your collection? Say it in the most awkward way possible. You are muted, by the way.
If you're muted.
Yeah, the AC was on. I don't know what the current number is because it changes every time I go to a con, and I'm getting really strict about purging. I think I texted Steve, and he thinks that we have 250 games right now, not including we have storage bins up here in the attic that have what we call our Family Game Day collection, because I used to run this event called Family Game Day where I would take the games to a library or community center and just have a service where I teach them and people play them. And whenever we have a game that ages out of our collection in regards to it's just not, it's too easy for us, or it's not something that we would be interested in because maybe it's not strategic enough or something like that. If we think it's a good fit for that, we move it up here. So new games, old games, etc. But yeah, so I think the main collection is 250, baby. I don't know.
Okay,
that seems to be a good number for everybody.
This will be Tiffany Ralph collection.
See,
I'm really big on purging. Thank you, everybody here who owns one of my games. I need to start marking them on the inside of the box.
Nice. See, I think to me, 250 seems like the number, a number-ish, where everything I have is something that I want to play, and I feel like if I own 250 more games, I would just be forgetting about games that I actually want to play. You know what I mean? This feels like sort of in my brain, this is about the right number of games to own stuff that I definitely always want to see hit the table. And I feel like any bigger than this, and it would be a little crazy, but that's me. For instance, Brandon, you said that you're at about 450, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's sitting at about 450. This is one shelf. There's about 8 shelves in the house. There's a reason why I bought an old, close to 2,800 square foot, just old house. I can build shelves and I can put stuff anywhere I want to. I'm a collector from way back. I have Blu-rays. I've got a cellar full of beer. I
think it's just in my hoarders.
I'm not a hoarder. There's not a single pile of newspapers. There are boxes behind me, but they're on the way out.
I'm kidding. No, and you've said that you like being the library. So you having a larger collection makes perfect sense for you, because that's part of your enjoyment, is being able to loan the games.
Yep.
So, Travis, where do you land in this?
My collection right now is actually about 150.
Wow.
I do a lot of math trading. I do a lot of selling of games as well. Right now I have about 25 games off of my shelf that are stored away just to get sold at the virtual flea market at BGGCon. And so that number of 150, 160 does not include those 25 games.
Because in your mind, they have already left your collection. That makes perfect sense. My 250 doesn't count that box that includes Garfield Monopoly. That's definitely going out the door. I mean, go get it and prove that I have that.
No, I believe you.
That's all right. So all right. So that's kind of awesome. I love the fact that that we've all got sort of different, and the one thing, and I'm poking fun a little bit here, although I'm just as guilty, we all qualified our collections with some reason that our collection is the number that it is, right? Like everybody, like, you know, there was, well, but then I also have this, you know, these don't count because this is that, or I've got this over, you know what I mean? It feels like it's funny because we get a little defensive about it, which is dumb, right? Because we're supposed to, we're the enthusiasts, right? Like that's the whole idea.
Bill.
We didn't even get into expansions, and if we're counting those.
Oh, I don't count
I do not.
those.
I
That's
don't.
personal.
No,
Right.
we actually, in our house, we ditched the expansion box.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
You have to.
like, we will throw away inserts
Throw
of
it
main
away.
boxes. We will,
Yes.
like, last night,
If it makes sense.
I have, like, 6 of the Dominions, and I just bought one of those big card
Yep.
boxes for like Magic and stuff, and I put all of my cards in that, and then like last night I was putting them in, and I just like was like to a box of Dominion Guild because I was like, I can't. It's like really satisfying and like it feels wrong and dirty kind of way to rip open a game box, but yeah.
It's like your first pandemic legacy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Yeah, I have exactly 2 games where I still have expansion boxes, and that's because the game won't fit. I'm sorry, 3 games where the game won't fit in just one box. Firefly because of all the expansions, Sentinels of the Multiverse because duh, and Eclipse because all the expansions plus a custom insert for. Other than that, boxes go away. Matter of fact,
Scoundrels has killed me. I got to keep that one. The stupid Scoundrels of Skullport.
Oh, yeah, because of the weird box that the base game
Yeah.
came in.
I like those
No,
boxes.
there's
I'm
a
the
cool
only one.
Did you not know what you can do is that it's actually they designed it where you can take the tray, the plastic tray for Skullport, put it on top of the tray for Waterdeep, and then put the lid from Skullport as the lid for that box. That's how they designed it. So
I did
you can
that.
have the base and the expansion in the same box.
I will try that as soon as I'm done here because
No, go get them. I want to see this. Go, do
We
it.
want to watch it, Brandon.
Yes,
let me
live.
mute. I got to go figure out which shelf it's on.
7B.
Yeah, see,
See, I didn't organize like Bill.
yeah, you guys make
mentioned
fun
on
of me.
Twitter earlier. He wasn't going to be wearing any pants. So do we
Oh,
really
that's
want him to
fair.
get up?
I
Always wear pants.
Brandon. Oh.
Yeah, I got made fun of for my indexing system. Not necessarily on Twitter. I think actually most of the board game nerds that saw me post my collection on Twitter were like, "Oh my God, you indexed everything?" Yes, I did, because I'm sick of not being able to find them, and because when I loan out a game, I want to know. You know, I want to be able to record, okay, I loaned out this game to this person. And the spreadsheet that I created the indexing system on doubles nicely as a checkout list. So, you know, that worked out for me. But yes, there is a letter and number column and row system on my Kallax shelf. So that way I know where my games are, because I get frustrated when I can't find stuff. You need that. I know it's weird. Here's the deal. I just moved. I just moved, so it was super easy for me to do it because I had to take all of the games off of the shelf at the old place and put them on the shelf in the new place. So it was really easy for me to just sit down and type everything in as I was putting them on shelves and putting things away. And of course, I had my priorities straight. I built my gaming room first before I unpacked anything else that wasn't underwear. So I was, this was my priority anyway. So I was ready. Are you doing it, Brandon?
So it's supposed
Are you
to
there?
just look like this? With a big open space like that?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why that box is like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Very cool.
You know what else you could do? You could get rid of the plastic insert trays and just trash those also.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're pretty awful.
But I like those insert trays, Travis.
But I paid for those.
I've never played the game. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know what it looks like
It
inside.
actually has nice insert trays.
Hang on, stop. Can we
I'm
back
going
up
to
a
send
little
it to Travis so he can Travisize it for me.
No,
Just like
I
he
don't
did
want-
with
I don't want-
Washington's War.
I don't want that game. I don't want that game. I won't even play it.
No, I
care.
mean, you can send it back to me. Just
Organize it for him.
No.
Hey.
I only do that for games that I might enjoy.
For the record, I do that for a couple of my friends' games. Even when I hate the games, I'll be your huckleberry. You send it to me, and I will take care. I love doing it. I'm not kidding when I say that. That's pretty much my favorite. One of my favorite parts of being a board gamer.
No,
I love nerding out games.
That's how Washington's War came back from Travis to me. A nice little each little faction had their nice little trays, and it was perfectly organized. And,
I've done that a couple of times. I'm actually I've got a couple games that I'm borrowing from a friend of mine that I sat and spent the evening nerding out because I couldn't stand his quote unquote organizational system. He was like 2 baggies away from a box dump when he handed it to me, and I'm like, oh no, not okay. So I had to sit down with my baggy collection and figure it out because I was developing a nervous tick. It wasn't okay. Very cool. All right.
Oh, Steve has sorted our bag collection. Our bag collection is
Yes. I just for the first time bought 1,000 baggies on Amazon. Like I've never bought baggies before about a month and a half ago. And I finally got to the point where all of the baggies that I had recovered from games that I hated had finally run out, and now I needed more.
Only drug dealers and board game collectors
I've always
know
dreaded
the
the cops
true
coming by.
value.
Yeah.
Did you also buy rubber bands? Because that makes you look extra suspicious, I think.
I actually already had a metric crap ton of rubber bands, and I have what the hell's that magic tape called? You know the stuff I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Amazing tape.
Get a good scale too, just in case you need it for shipping. That makes you look extra suspicious.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's probably not going to happen. But I like. You know what? Really, in the area that I live in, no one would blink. Unfortunately, so that's all I'm going to say. So there you go. All right. I just want to bring up one last thing because it's bothering me. Brandon, you said that you paid for that insert. Really?
Yeah.
Is that really a thing in your world?
No, it's not. But it's part of the cost of everything when you buy a game.
Well, yeah.
I paid for that insert. I do
Tell
pitch
that to Fantasy Flight.
I pitch expansion boxes when I get a chance, but there's certain ones that you keep because they're nicely done, and they took the time to make something that's halfway nicely done. I'm going to keep it.
I think in my entire collection there are maybe a half a dozen games that still have the insert that came with the box. Like legit. One of the first things I almost always do is yank the insert, even if it's a crappy little cardboard one.
Well, yeah, because half the time they're those crappy little paper thin stronghold type ones that you just what is this? It's not even useful.
Sure, but even when they are theoretically useful, like the one for cacao, which I've ranted about at length, I don't want to go there again.
Oh, it's Billy again.
Oh, froze again.
What happened?
And so Cacao has this plastic insert.
Is it plastic or that was cardboard?
No, it's a plastic.
No, it's plastic.
It's
I
plastic,
should
yeah.
go play cacao more.
And you actually have to keep the punch boards to help keep it flush.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
But who cares?
You just put them under the tray. I
No.
did that
Exactly.
on like all the games I
No.
own.
It doesn't work like that with cacao. It doesn't.
Yeah.
He's returned.
I'm back. Yes, cacao doesn't work like that. You have to keep the punch boards, or else the insert doesn't work, because they instead of building it up from the bottom, they built it down from the top. So there's like a divot in the top of the insert where the punch boards go. It's the worst insert ever. So it's real bad.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been awesome, but we got to kind of start to tie things up here. So we have 3 people here that have never been subjected. No, let's see. Patrick, you've never done rapid fire, right?
Nope.
Tiffany's never done rapid fire, and Eric's never done rapid fire. So yes, we have to do the rapid fire segment. And luckily, I have 3 sets of rapid fire questions here. So I have quietly rolled a random D6, and Eric, you are first.
Let's do it.
All right. So once again, the idea is real simple. 5 questions, answer as fast as you can. Don't think about it. Eric, are you prepared?
No.
All right.
Got the first one right.
Here we go. Eric,
Wait,
your favorite game for exactly 5 people?
5. Geez, 5.
I mentioned Rapid.
Libertalia.
There you go. Very good. The board game you've owned the longest.
It's a cheap ass game. It's got zombies and trains. What the hell is that called? I don't know the name of it. It's from cheap ass games.
Very good. A game you would buy a deluxe edition of.
Oh, I suck at this.
Everybody does. Don't feel bad. Rapid fire. Rapid.
I came out by a deluxe edition of Sagrada. If they made one, I would get one with actual glass panes.
There you go. A game you dislike that everyone else seems to love.
Agricola.
Okay. And your favorite dessert.
Donuts. That one.
Donuts.
Was easy.
See? I try to always end on an easy one, so that way you've got at least a sense of relief when it's all
I gotta
done.
grab that zombie game because I can't think of the name of it.
It's gonna bug you now, isn't it?
I'll take it.
All right. The Magic D6 says, Hillier, you are next. Patrick, are you there? Are you ready?
He actually just typed into chat saying that he was gone, and now he's dropped.
Oh,
Yep.
and now he's back. Maybe, Patrick.
Back.
I'm back.
Hey, there
Patrick.
you are.
Woo!
You just missed me saying that the Magic D6 says that you're next for rapid fire.
Okay.
Are you prepared?
I am prepared.
All right. Patrick, your favorite game involving dice.
Alien Frontiers.
Your favorite space-themed game, and you have to say something different.
Star Trek Catan.
All right. A game there should be a world championship for.
Terraforming Mars.
Stop helping, Travis.
Solo play.
Cyclades.
Cyclades. There you go. A game that you could theme a wedding cake around.
Cyclades. Sorry.
Travis.
You're really being no help. Viva Java.
Viva Java, the wedding cake. There you go. And a celebrity you wish was a gamer.
Angelina Jolie.
I knew you were going to pick a woman. There you go. Nice job, Patrick. Very good. You wouldn't be our pervy friend, Patrick, if you didn't pick it. There you go. Very good. Excellent. All right. Tiffany, I'm not saying the Magic D6 saved the best for last, but you are our last rapid fire. Are you prepared?
Good luck.
I am prepared.
All right. Here we go. Tiffany, your favorite two-player game.
Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small.
Very good. A game you wish you owned but don't.
Trickier on.
All right, there you go. A game you can't help but be super competitive when you're playing.
Any game?
All of them.
Go up.
All right. A game you suck at but still love.
Oh, I can't remember. I was playing it. I always say it. Basically, any game where I have to card draft prior to the game starts. What is it? Seasons.
Season.
There you go. And your favorite.
I thought for some reason in my brain it was like edition of the game. But Rick, what is the translation for the My Little Pony edition to the base one? I think. Well, I can't. But like Spike's, I like to own Spike's library. That's my favorite property. I don't know what that translates to in the real one.
That's awesome. I love that you actually had an answer for that. I was expecting that to be just someone blurting out a thing, but you really have one. That's amazing.
Rainbow Dashes High School is also really good.
All right. Brandon gets to do cheap plugs every week when he's on here, and Patrick's on the same podcast.
So was Eric.
And so is Eric.
And so is Eric. I know. I was working on it. I was going to let Eric.
And so is Travis.
He's a contributor, but Travis has his own things that he can pimp. Travis.
Yes. Let Eric and Patrick go.
Okay.
Okay.
Eric and Patrick.
I've been trying to run up with the conversation show, which we do on Wednesdays, And this week we have Ryan Kohler coming
Yes.
out. And that's kind of a special spin-off thing where it's a little bit longer segments highlighting either any kind of special guests.
Very cool. And if people wanted to follow you on social media, what would they?
I am over the Hillier, Hillier.
Used to be Phil.
Used to be Phil.
Yes. Yes. I can't
I still
imagine.
call
why.
him Phil.
Yes. All right, Eric, how about you? Do you have anything specific you want to pimp?
No, I'm on the What Did You Play This Week podcast, and I'm on Twitter at Eric Buscemi, and that's me.
Very good.
Your blog. Pimp your blog.
It's on Board Game Geek. It's the Cardboard Horde, but it's hard to find on Board Game Geek. You know how
Everything is hard to find on Board Game.
Just a board game.
That's all right. The new interface is we're getting there. I'm excited. Every time a new part rolls out, I get a little more excited.
That's true.
Yep. Kimberly, how do people find you as a Twitter celebrity?
I just actually had to look up my own Twitter handle while you were doing that. At KJ Bullock, and I usually run our Granite Game Summit account at G2 Summit as well.
Yes. That's coming up ish? Yeah.
October 22nd, baby.
Cool. Are there still tickets available?
Soon, not very many, so.
But there's a few. So if you live in the upper New England,
Yep.
you should hit up the website.
At granitegamesummit.com.
There you go. See, we'll work with you here. All right, Tiffany, where would people go to find more stuff from you?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/theonetar, which is also my Twitter handle and my Facebook page and my Instagram. It is not my BGG title, but I don't do stuff on BGG, so don't worry about it. But yeah, Tuesdays, I'm also on the Maple Syrup Show with Sen, I can't say your last name, and Daryl Andrews. And we do that in the mornings, breakfast time for the West Coast, lunchtime for the East Coast, brunch time for everybody in the middle. And then Tuesdays, my husband and I, 11 yes. On Tuesday, I just do a lot of stuff. On Tuesdays, my husband and I also live stream and play board games live on the internet while hanging out with you fine internet people. So that's a thing that'll be happening tomorrow night as well.
That's
I also
awesome.
sometimes do reviews and other things. And blogs.
Can I just say, Tiffany, that your inability to say Sen's last name makes me feel a whole lot better about me mangling yours at the beginning of the show. I feel like it has all come full circle, and now I feel way better about it.
I think it's just Sin Fong Lim, but I get the Fong. I stop there. Sorry, Sen. I'm nervous to say that word because of reasons.
Well, Sen might be one of the nicest people walking God's green earth. So I feel like if there's anyone in the world who would not murder you, it would probably be him. So there you go.
Because he's Canadian, but
he's Canadian. He is genetically not you know what I mean. All right, and last he is predisposed. Yes, and
Bill, don't feel bad. Brandon butchers my last name on every episode of the podcast.
You have a name that has been said in pop culture for a long time. You share a last name with a famous actor. How is that a thing?
How do I say it?
You say
Buscemi.
Buscemi.
Well, now you're gonna make me look like I'm wrong. Go listen to the podcast. Tell me if you ever said it like that before.
Okay, do I say Buscemi?
You did. Now you don't. So let's keep it up.
See, worst case scenario, the Cubist has done good in the world of the What Did You Play This Week podcast thing. So that's good. Last but not least, Travis Hill. Where can people go to find things about you?
I am on the Twitterverse at Travis D Hill. That's where everything else is on Board Game Geek and stuff like that as well. I do 2 minutes with Travis as a contribution for the What Do You Play This Week podcasting, where I talk about things that excite me for 2 minutes. But I'm one of the co-hosts for Low Player Count, which is a podcast about solitaire and 2-player board games. We're a discussion-based podcast. Come out with episodes basically every week. Now there are 3 of us, and I'm the primary Twitterer for that account as well. So yeah.
And you also have another podcast that I really like that I would that you should plug, sir.
Sure. Yeah. it's hit and miss, obviously, between everything else. I do a podcast called The Space Inside, which is a podcast on introversion, where I just kind of take 15 minutes to discuss, kind of basic ideas and thoughts and processes behind introverts and introversion and how we have our place in the world around us.
Yes, you do. And I love, and that's a fantastic podcast. I mean, all of the podcasts that got mentioned here are really solid, but I have a special place in my heart for The Space Inside. I really like that.
Thanks.
Good work. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show that the internet hated. I'm sorry that my internet connection has been awful all night, but I promise I will go feed the hamsters as soon as we're done here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks everybody for jumping on today. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Awesome as always.
Catch y'all later.